defeat to Ireland in this tournament, and their bowlers were determined to avoid another loss. But South Africa made 63 runs before captain Graham Smith was removed, although it didn't actually look like he'd touched the ball on his way to being caught. That seemed to change the momentum. Stuart Broad was on target to bowl Hashim Amla, and just 7 runs later Broad struck again, Jacques Kallis going. South Africa went on to lose their last 7 wickets for just 41 runs by the time Broad took his 4th and final scalp, England clawing back an unlikely 6-run win, which should be enough to help them take one of 4 quarter-final berths from Group B.
Well, it was a huge game for us, you know. After the Ireland game, we really needed to come out and show some character. You know, we definitely needed to do that. We didn't do it as much with the bat as we would have liked, but to be fair to the guys, they dug very deep in the field.
We knew chasing today was going to be tough, you know, and we knew we had to restrict England with the ball. And 170, I thought was a good total for us to chase, but unfortunately we weren't good enough today.
Joanna Gajarowska, AlJazeera.
Ireland, meanwhile, gave India a bit of a scare in the day's second match, reducing them to 100 for 4 at one stage, chasing 208 to win. But some big hitting from Yusuf Pathan and an unbeaten half-century from Yuvraj Singh, who'd earlier taken 5 wickets, saw India home with 4 overs to spare.
This is what I try and do in tough situations, try and bat well for India, take my team to victory, you know, bowl well, field well. That's what I try and do, and you know, that's what I try and do every day. I'm very happy that, you know, last 2 games I scored 250s, and I'm hitting the ball well, I'm bowling well, so things are looking good for me.
Real Madrid have closed the gap on Barcelona at the top of Spain's La Liga, back to 7 points. Real won 3 goals to 1 at Racing Santander in the final Spanish match of the weekend. Emmanuel Adebayor and Karim Benzema put Real 2-0 ahead in the first half. Kennedy pulled one back for the home side, 15 minutes from time to make a game of it. But a second Benzema goal made the game safe for Real Madrid. 3-1 the final score. In Italy, Inter have closed the gap on leaders and city rivals AC Milan to 5 points. Inter hit Genoa for 5 at the San Siro. All their goals came in the second half. Now, Inter really had to win this match after AC Milan's win 24 hours earlier, but it was mid-table Genoa who took a shock lead late in the first half. Rodrigo Palacio with the goal. It all changed, though, after the break into a quickly level. Gianpaolo Pazzini with the equaliser. Samuel Eto'o then scored a couple, his second here arguably the pick of Inter's goals. That one made it 3-1. And there's still time for Inter to grab a couple more. Goran Pandev finished off this move. The final score 5-2 to Inter. In England, the leaders Manchester United were beaten at Liverpool, a result that leaves United just 3 points clear at the top of the table, having played a game more than closest rivals Arsenal. Dirk Kuyt scored a hat-trick for Liverpool to put them 3-0 up. Javier Hernandez grabbed an injury-time consolation for United. In the day's second game, Tottenham missed the chance to move back into the top 4. Stephen Fletcher scored a late equaliser for relegation-threatened Wolves. Lindsey Vonn has clinched her 3rd World Cup skiing title in as many days. Victory in the Super G in Tarvisio in Italy makes her the World Cup Super G champion for the 3rd year running. Vonn saw off the challenge of fellow American Julia Mancuso to take the victory that gives her an unassailable lead in the Super G standings. It completes an incredible weekend's work for the 26-year-old, who clinched the Super Combined World Cup on Friday, then the Downhill World Cup on Saturday. But she still trails Maria Reich in the overall standings, 96 points behind, with 6 races to go. Now, the men's slalom World Cup will go down to the final race of the season after both leaders, Jean-Baptiste Grange here and Ivica Kostelic, were both disqualified in Slovenia for straddling gates. Mario Matt won the slalom in Kranjegora, a 2nd successive win for the Austrian. Tennis, and holders Serbia are safely through to the quarter-finals of the Davis Cup, where they'll meet Sweden, after finally seeing off the challenge of India in the first round. Victor Trojki, at the bottom of the screen here, did the job for the Serbians, who are missing their top player Novak Djokovic. His straight sets win over Somdev Deverman in the first of the reverse singles gave the home side an unassailable 3-1 lead. They finally won 4-1 to join Sweden, Kazakhstan, Argentina, the USA, Spain, Germany and France in the quarter-finals. Sebastian Loeb is celebrating victory in the Rally of Mexico, the 2nd race of the season in the World Rally Championship. The Frenchman overtook Citroën teammate Sébastien Ogier, who crashed out on the first stage of the final day to take his 5th successive victory in the event. And Belgium's Thomas de Gendt has taken a surprise victory in stage 1 of the Paris-Nice, the first big event of the new cycling season. De Gendt was part of a successful 3-man breakaway 40 kilometres from home, just holding off the peloton down the final straight before beating Jeremy Roy and Heinrich Hausler in the final sprint. And that's the sport. Back to you.
Right, stay with us here on Al Jazeera. We'll update you on all the headlines, but first there's a check on the weather in your part of the world. Stay with us.
Hello, we've got more in the way of southerly winds pushing temperatures up across the Arabian Peninsula. So here in Doha, we'll see highs of around 26 Celsius on Monday afternoon. Similar values there for Abu Dhabi. It's not all wall-to-wall sunshine though, a chance of some showers just around that southern end of the Red Sea. And I think as we go on through the next day or so, maybe 1 or 2 of those showers tending to push inland. But for the most part, it will be dry. And here in Doha, as I said, those temperatures pushing up, so we may well get up to 27 Celsius by Tuesday. Generally dry too across a good part of Iran. Pakistan generally dry as well, but still got some snow coming out of Afghanistan into the far north of India. Much of India will stay fine and dry. Northern half of Sri Lanka should stay fine and dry, but always a threat of a few showers across southern parts of the country over the next couple of days, so that could still affect the cricket in the coming days. Heavy showers continue through Madagascar, Mozambique, Tanzania. Quite widespread showers these now. They're running their way all the way back into Zambia. Botswana, Angola could see some wet weather, but for South Africa it is generally set fair. Johannesburg at around 29 Celsius, more in the way of sunshine here. More in the way of sunshine to come into much of Argentina, but some showers pushing in here. It stays very wet indeed across the Amazon basin.
He's taken stolen goods and he's now dumping them onto the world without any sort of consideration for consequences.
From people making the news.
If the North will be saved a lot of trouble, I think it is important that they should come together.
To those it affects.
We do accept that there was very bad mistakes made in our banking area.
Behind the headlines.
Most South Koreans are not interested in reunification.
Is the inside story. At this time on Al Jazeera.
As protests, violence, and the call for political reform spreads across the Arab world, Al Jazeera's in-depth coverage of events on the ground brings you the news as it breaks. Ongoing coverage of the Libya uprising on Al Jazeera.
Still in charge, Muammar Gaddafi makes a fleeting appearance in Libya's capital. Rebels say they're closing in on him. Our reporter has their story.